to the Desi Outsiders podcast. I'm Ankita.
And I'm Meenal.
And in this episode, we discuss a disturbing story from last week, the negative attitude that young Indians tend to have towards love, relationships, and dating. And also stay tuned till the end for some hilarious love stories from our lovely listeners. We hope you enjoy the show.
So Valentine's Day is in a few days and everyone seems to be getting really excited about it. We are too in our own way, but you'll find out about that later on the show. However, for this Valentine's, we want to discuss something that we stumble upon very commonly, and that is India's perception of romance. And it's quite common to come across many youngsters in India even today, who have quite a negative attitude towards love, dating, and relationships. And by negative, we don't mean people who think dating is wrong, although that's a whole other discussion for another day. But what we are talking about are people who do it wrong, if you know what I mean, and people who think they're entitled to love and affection from their partner. People who think that it's okay to stalk someone to the point of submission. People who throw temper tantrums when they don't get their partners to act the way they want. And people who want to control their partners. I could just go on, but by now I'm guessing you know what I mean by the negative attitude towards love that is exhibited by the Indian youth.
Yes, Meenal, and to examine what you just mentioned, I want to start off with a very disturbing incident that was in the news last week. I don't know if you heard about this, Meenal, because it was mostly local news in Kerala, but last Thursday, something horrible happened, and that has actually been haunting me ever since. There was this boy who'd apparently been in a relationship with this girl, and for whatever reason, the girl backed out of the relationship. Now, the boy was not done with the relationship and was quite obsessive, to be honest, so he kept pestering her. It was reported that at one point, her father filed a report with the local police, and both this boy and his dad were called to the police station and sent off with warnings. Anyway, last Wednesday, he went to his college to give an exam, and since she studied as his junior in the same college, he walked into her classroom during the break and asked to speak with her. And quite obviously, she refused to speak to him. So the next thing he did was he went out, he stormed out of there, he got petrol, he walked back into her class, poured the petrol over himself and over her, threatening to commit suicide while killing her in the process. And it was reported that this poor girl, she ran for her life, but he caught up with her in the college library and he hugged her tight before setting fire to both of them.
Well, I'll get to that. This is something that you've just told me, and it reminded me a lot of other stories that I've heard, and it's really sad that I have a sort of library of these kind of stories in my head. I'm not sure what exactly was going through his mind, Ankita, but I'm sure it had to do with his ego being hurt, and he used this pain to take revenge on this innocent young girl. Ego is a big problem anywhere in the world. I won't just point it out to Indian men. We find it everywhere. Ankita, I always say this, that if we really want to bring a change to anything in our society, the first step towards that is to be brutally honest.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it has to do with upbringing or with movies that people watch, but whatever it is, it must be tackled.
Yep.
And turning a blind eye to something like this is only detrimental, and it will cost more and more innocent lives.
Actually, after this incident took place, I read an article. It was titled, "Love Doesn't Stalk, Kill or Murder. Stop Justifying Toxic Obsession as Romance." And it was an article published by, I think it's a website. It's called The News Minute. I leave a link to this article in the show notes, but I just want to convey the basic gist of it, which is that you need to call out what is unhealthy as unhealthy.
Yeah, you're right, Ankita, and it has to do with it has a lot to do with reference points. People have certain reference points in their life, and that's what they use to treat a girl, to treat a lady, or to act in certain ways. So as you said, it has to do with the influences, and we have to start adjusting now with these reference points and calibrating everything properly.
Exactly. So one thing I know for sure is that our movies and media, they have always romanticized the hero who stalks his girl till she finally gives in to his obsession, and they even show apparently this happily ever after all the stalking and all the drama, the girl finally gives in and she's living with this guy and they're all happy. And even after this mind-numbing incident took place, there were many who came out to defend the boy and put the blame on the girl by saying that she was the one who broke his heart. And that's just outrageous. I can't even imagine why anyone would come out and say something like that.
Ankit, there's one famous saying that they say that if you believe the unbelievable, you justify
Yeah.
the unjustifiable.
Yep.
And this is a very perfect example of this
Exactly.
boy who decides that it's okay to blame the girl.
I mean, all I want to say is please do not romanticize suicide, murder, and these other unfortunate actions in the name of love, because these are actions committed by people who are obviously not in their right senses. So please don't encourage more youngsters to follow these footsteps by romanticizing these things.
And people tend to use love and affection as an excuse to cover up their disturbing behavior.
Yeah.
There's a general mentality that they are entitled to love and to gain ownership of the woman. And if the woman rejects, their immediate reaction is that if you can't love me, then nobody else deserves to have you in their life.
Right.
Nobody else should love you. And that mentality leads to acid attacks and sometimes even the loss of a life.
Yeah.
People can do crazy things out of love, but it doesn't mean that it's acceptable. And whether it's love for your spouse or love for your sister, and acid attacks were previously so common in India. And this just goes to show that for a while, our society enabled these disturbed minds to commit these acts. And as always, people will try to justify.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of acid attacks and everything that you mentioned, when I discussed this incident with my mom, she said, see, this is why I was always worried when you reacted so strongly to all the catcalling and eve teasing. And she said that she agrees that one shouldn't turn a blind eye to these things and that society needs to change. But she also argues that there are all kinds of crazy lunatics out there. And it's for the simplest of things or the silliest or the smallest of things that girls get acid thrown on their faces or they get raped and they get murdered in our country. And I get that. I totally get what my mom's saying. I totally get where she's coming from, because any parent would fear for the life and well-being of their child while living in an environment like that, because this is an environment where perpetrators of such crimes, they just walk free. They walk away from everything they did. And this is an environment where these heinous acts are even romanticized in movies. It's crazy.
And I just wanted to add what you mentioned about romanticizing strange behavior. It's not only applicable in these extreme cases, Ankita, and they still manage to seep down to very basic things in most relationships in India.
Yeah.
I've heard from you and my friends and cousins in India about boyfriends and girlfriends who like to control each other because they feel that their partners owe it to them to follow their instructions.
Oh my God, this is something that I can personally vouch for because I have had personal experience with this kind of behavior. It's very common in India to come across controlling spouses and partners and boyfriends and girlfriends because, like you said, they think that just because someone loves them, they have to stop having their own individuality and they have to start behaving like the perfect partner these other people had in mind. So it's very common to see boyfriends telling their girlfriends what to wear, whom to talk to, where to go or not go, what to eat and what not to eat. And even girlfriends do the same thing. There are so many girls who tell their boyfriends, you can't go out with your friends, no more late nights because you love me, no more drinking, no more smoking because, you have to swear on my life, you have to give up all these habits for me. It's really common in India, and in most cases I've noticed that people start dating each other because they quite obviously have a crush on each other. It's purely physical in the beginning, in the early stages, and like in our Bollywood movies, it's romanticized in most of the local movies in all the local languages. It starts off with a smile and then someone goes and has golgappa somewhere, then there's a bike ride.
Golgappa, isn't it?
Golgappa.
It's either the golgappa or the tree and the dupatta flying behind the tree. It's one of those.
No. The bike ride is the main thing. The dupatta flying in the bike.
On the bike, yeah.
On the bike. They're going on the bike and there's a dupatta. Yeah, so all this happens, but one thing people don't understand is that most people, especially the youngsters in India, with the influence of these movies and everything, they are in love with the idea of love. So these kids, they grow up with an idea of an ideal partner in mind. Like, she should be a good cook or he should never smoke or drink. It's only after they pick these partners based on what they look like or for whatever reason, whatever bike or golgappa or whatever reason, they pick these partners, and it's only then that they start imposing all these ideas on them. And they try to change these people into their concept of their ideal partner.
And, we live in a society, and as such, it's just how we're raised. And the most negative attitude that I've seen is that people think that relationships are forever and they have the end goal, which is marriage.
Yeah.
You probably won't see that so much in Europe because this is not how our culture is over here, and
Yeah.
that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But if you date someone in high school, your friends in society will accept it only if you marry a high school sweetheart. And girls especially have this stigma attached to breakups, where they're either slut-shamed if they have more than one boyfriend before their marriage, or they cannot accept that the story didn't turn out to be just like that favorite Govinda movie.
That's absolutely true. Actually, I remember this teacher from another department in my college who had a quote unquote love marriage. Remember, we talked about this in season 1, and this teacher would always support the girls in her class who had boyfriends, but she would advise them that you can have these boyfriends, but you need to marry them. So she is someone that had a high school sweetheart or whatever, and she married him. So she thinks that she has a moral high ground now, and she's like, you can have a boyfriend, but you need to marry that person. So and I know that a lot of people choose to remain in toxic relationships with people they have nothing in common with, and they remain in these relationships for 1, sometimes 2, 3, and sometimes even 9 years. I personally know.
Who stayed in a relationship for 9 years?
I personally know a couple that started dating in high school. They were miserable together. They would fight. They were controlling. All these controlling issues that I told you about earlier, they had all of those. And then they remained together for 9 whole years before they finally decided to break up. And they broke up for the silliest of things. Like, it was not even a trigger. You can't even say it was a breakup. Like, for the longest time, one of them was confused, but the other one just had enough. But 9 years of your life, can you imagine just throwing it away just because you think that it's wrong to not marry someone you met in high school?
Yeah, well, that's how it is, and we see a lot of stories like that. But anyway, we don't want to just dwell on what's bad all the time. But we want to end this episode on a very positive note, and we want to read out the weird love stories that you guys sent in. Last week, we asked you guys to submit the weirdest, cringiest, creepiest thing that your Valentine or ex-Valentine ever said or did to you. You guys better buckle up. You're in for a hilarious ride. So, Ankita, you can start off with the first one. Yeah, okay.
I love this one. Okay. So this first story is from Preeti, and she says, "Dear Ankita and Meenal, my story might make you wonder why I was in a relationship with someone who spoke to me in this way. But as you mentioned in last week's episode, we are here to have fun. So here goes. My boyfriend was the kind of guy who always used terms like decent clothes, and I kind of became immune to it after some time until there was one day where he asked me to wear a salwar kameez. He thought wearing jeans and tight trousers was quote unquote indecent. This completely threw me off guard. So I walked him to the nearest store and asked him to buy a kurta. I told him that I would have happily worn a salwar kameez if he agreed to wear a kurta, and my reasoning behind this was that he also had to cover his backside." Oh my god. So when I asked him to buy a kurta, he said I would have to wear a burqa. Oh my god. Man, this guy, he should be sent for like international diplomatic relations. Yeah, because reasoning and with that logic, he's going places. Trust me, this guy.
Let's put him between Trump and Putin.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Preeti is still with this guy, but Preeti, this boyfriend or ex-boyfriend of yours, he's definitely going places. Yeah.
Our next one comes in from Arya, and she says, "Dear Ankita, Meenal, I'm sending this mail to the Desi Outsiders headquarters." Wow, Ankita, someone actually used that term. That's pretty impressive.
Yep.
With the hope that this awful situation translates into laughter for some of you listeners. I used to date a guy in high school who controlled me more than my own father did. He didn't let me talk to other boys, and he didn't like the way I would let my hair loose, and he even told me that I wasn't allowed to wear anything sleeveless. But Can I just point out, that's just one thing that literally every auntie in India says. I mean, this sleeveless thing.
The sleeveless thing, we should probably point him to Preeti's boyfriend. I mean, this is indecent.
There were several times where he asked me to change, and he tried to convince me that if I changed according to his needs, we would be a lot happier in our relationship. So he would say to me, "I have a friend whose girlfriend used to be someone like you, but she changed for her boyfriend, and now they're a lot happier. Can't you be like her?" But then Arya replied with, "My friend has a boyfriend and he never asked her to change, and they are also very happy. Can't you be like him?"
You go, girl. You go, girl.
It's girl power. And his response to that was, can I just mention that this was written in caps by Arya?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to shout into the microphone, but So his response to that was, "Oh, so you're comparing me to other boys now? Why don't you just go and date him instead of me then?"
Oh my
Talk
God.
about the hypocrisy.
That really sounds like this guy is the first guy's best friend.
I think so.
Yeah.
Arya, do you want to reach out to Priti and see?
Please compare notes.
I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that they're talking about the same guy. Imagine if Arya and Priti dated the same guy. But then again, a lot of guys pull a lot of bullshit like this anyway, so...
Okay, so a third letter. This is fun. This is from Varsha, and she says, "Dear Ankita and Meenal, thank you for reading our stories. I'm pretty sure this one I'm sending in will make you cringe more than those political statements that you read out on Tuesday's YouTube video."
Oh my God.
Thank you.
That must be really cringy. Let's hear this one.
I met my first ever boyfriend in high school, and we dated for about a year before this happened. We were both in the 10th grade and had just received our board exam results. He called me on the day our results were announced and broke up with me over the telephone. He said that we had to break up because I had scored better marks than him in the board exam, and because of my higher grades, we couldn't be together anymore. Oh my God.
Oh, because didn't you know that a woman can never earn more than a man?
Or that a relationship fails if the wife has a greater salary than the husband.
Oh, this guy was obviously thinking about his future, and he was trying to avoid divorce. And wow, this guy's really.
No, I perfectly understand this guy. I feel that he's smart. I feel that he's meticulously planning his future. He doesn't want a wife who'll earn more than him. He doesn't want a girlfriend who'll get better marks than him.
So we're very sorry for not reading all the stories you sent out, and many, many thanks to all of you who sent in your stories. Ankita and I had a great laugh. Thank you for making us laugh, since you already know that we don't really have a life outside of this podcast.
Oh yeah, we don't have any friends. We just have each other. Like we're losers, but we had to stop because this episode was getting too long. And either way, we'd love to hear more stories because these are hilarious, guys. Please keep sending in more, and please send them to mail@desioutsiders.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Desi Outsiders, and you can send us direct messages there too. We really hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next Tuesday, which funnily enough is Valentine's Day. So stay tuned to find out how we'll be celebrating Valentine's at the Desi Outsiders HQ this Tuesday. Oh, and until then, I'm Ankita.
And I'm Meenal.
And we are the Desi Outsiders.